The story of Lot and his daughters unfolds against the backdrop of Sodom and Gomorrah, cities steeped in wickedness and depravity. These cities, known for their opulence and moral decay, were infamous in the ancient world. They were places where the pursuit of pleasure and self-indulgence overshadowed any sense of righteousness or justice. Lot, the nephew of Abraham, found himself and his family residing in Sodom. Despite the warnings and the evident moral decline, Lot chose to settle in this city, perhaps drawn by its prosperity and the opportunities it seemed to offer. This city, along with its neighbor Gomorrah, served as a stark contrast to the righteous path Abraham sought to follow. While Abraham lived a life of faith and obedience to God, Lot's choice placed him and his family in the midst of a society that was the antithesis of everything Abraham stood for. Lot's decision to settle in Sodom exposed his family to the seductive allure of its sinful ways. The bustling markets, the grand feasts, and the constant revelry were a daily temptation, challenging their values and beliefs. Their lives became intertwined with a city teetering on the brink of divine judgment. The tension between their faith and the surrounding decadence was palpable, creating a constant struggle to maintain their integrity. The scriptures paint a vivid picture of Sodom's moral corruption, a society rife with violence, sexual immorality, and a blatant disregard for God's laws. The city's inhabitants were known for their cruelty and their complete lack of hospitality, making it a dangerous place for any outsider. Lot's family, consisting of his wife and 2 daughters, lived amidst this moral decay. They were constantly surrounded by influences that threatened to erode their faith and values. They were strangers in a strange land, their values clashing with the practices of those around them. The cultural and moral divide was vast, making their daily existence a test of their resilience and faith. The scriptures offer little insight into the lives of Lot's wife and daughters during their time in Sodom. However, it is clear that their experiences were marked by the constant tension between their beliefs and the prevailing culture. Their experiences remained shrouded in mystery, overshadowed by the impending doom that awaited the city and its inhabitants. The sense of foreboding must have been ever present, as they lived in a city marked for destruction. The family's existence in Sodom serves as a prelude to the tragic events that would unfold, testing their loyalty, their morality, and their very survival. The choices they made in this environment would have lasting consequences, shaping their destiny in ways they could not have foreseen. The story of Lot is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the consequences of choosing worldly pleasures over righteousness. It serves as a stark warning about the dangers of compromising one's values for the sake of convenience or prosperity. It highlights the tension between individual morality and the corrupting influence of a decadent society. Lot's story is a powerful illustration of the struggle to maintain one's integrity in the face of overwhelming temptation and moral decay. Lot's decision to dwell in Sodom ultimately exposed his family to great danger and set in motion a chain of events that would forever shape their destiny. Their story is a poignant reminder of the importance of making choices that align with one's values even in the most challenging of circumstances. The book of Genesis vividly portrays Sodom and Gomorrah as cities consumed by wickedness, their sins crying out to heaven for judgment. These cities, once thriving and prosperous, became infamous for their moral corruption and depravity. Their sins were so grievous that they reached the ears of God, prompting divine intervention. The depths of their depravity became a testament to the consequences of abandoning God's laws and embracing a life of immorality. The narrative of Sodom and Gomorrah serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of moral decay. Homosexuality, particularly the aggressive pursuit of male angels who visited Lot, is cited as a grievous sin that incurred God's wrath. This act of sexual violence against the heavenly messengers epitomized Sodom's utter disregard for hospitality and divine authority. The city's inhabitants had become so consumed by their desires that they lost all sense of righteousness and decency. Beyond sexual immorality, Sodom's sins encompassed a broader spectrum of wickedness. The scriptures speak of rampant violence, greed, and a callous indifference to the plight of the poor and vulnerable. The city's inhabitants had turned their backs on righteousness, choosing instead to revel in their own selfish desires. Their hearts had become hardened, their consciences seared by their relentless pursuit of pleasure and power. The cries of the oppressed reached God's ears, a testament to the pervasive injustice that permeated Sodom's social fabric. The city's leaders and citizens alike were guilty of exploiting the weak and vulnerable, further deepening their moral corruption. The city's fate serves as a stark reminder that God's judgment ultimately falls upon those who persistently reject his ways and choose to live in wickedness. Sodom and Gomorrah became synonymous with unrestrained sin and divine retribution. Their names are forever etched in history as a warning against the consequences of moral decay. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is not just a tale of destruction, but a call to uphold righteousness and compassion in our own lives. The lessons from these ancient cities are timeless, urging us to reflect on our own actions and the state of our societies. The cries of the oppressed, the suffering of the downtrodden, and the rampant injustice serve as a mirror to our own world. As we contemplate the fate of Sodom and Gomorrah, we are reminded of the importance of living in accordance with divine principles. The story challenges us to strive for a just and compassionate society, where the vulnerable are protected and righteousness prevails. Sodom and Gomorrah's legacy is a powerful testament to the consequences of unchecked sin and the enduring need for moral vigilance. Their destruction serves as a sobering reminder of the ultimate price of turning away from divine guidance. Let their story be a beacon, guiding us towards a path of righteousness, compassion, and justice, ensuring that we do not repeat the mistakes of the past. As darkness descended upon Sodom, a mob gathered outside Lot's door, their intentions dark and their desires fueled by lust. The men of the city, consumed by their wickedness, demanded that Lot hand over the two angelic visitors so they could know them, a euphemism for sexual assault. In this moment of crisis, Lot's paternal instincts collided with the horrifying reality of the situation. Faced with a depraved mob threatening violence, Lot made a desperate and deeply troubling offer. He pleaded with the men of Sodom to spare his guests, instead offering his two virgin daughters to satisfy their lust. Lot's actions, though seemingly incomprehensible by modern standards, must be understood within the cultural context of his time. In ancient patriarchal societies, a father possessed absolute authority over his household, including his daughters. A woman's virginity was considered a prized possession, and offering it to protect guests, even under duress, held a certain twisted logic within that cultural framework. However, even within that context, Lot's offer remains deeply unsettling. It highlights the vulnerability of women in ancient societies, treated as bargaining chips to protect men. This act exposes the flawed morality of a man caught between his obligations as a host and the depravity of the society around him. With the first light of dawn, the angels urged Lot and his family to flee Sodom before God's wrath consumed the city. The city, once bustling with life, was now on the brink of divine judgment. The angels' voices were filled with urgency, their divine presence a stark contrast to the chaos that was about to unfold. They warned that divine judgment was imminent and that remaining in Sodom would mean certain death. The sky above Sodom grew darker, heavy with the impending doom that was about to befall the city. The angels' warnings were clear. There was no time to waste. Guided by the angels, Lot, his wife, and his two daughters hastily gathered their belongings and fled the city as the sun began to rise. The urgency in their movements reflected the gravity of the situation. Every second counted as they made their way out of the city, leaving behind their home and everything they had known. The angels instructed them to escape to the mountains, a place of refuge from the impending destruction. The mountains, with their rugged terrain and towering peaks, offered a stark contrast to the doomed city of Sodom. It was a place where they could find safety and solace from the wrath that was about to be unleashed. They emphasized the urgency of the situation, urging them not to look back lest they too be consumed by God's wrath. The command was clear: do not look back. The temptation to glance at the destruction was strong, but the consequences were dire. They had to keep moving forward, no matter how difficult it was. However, Lot, fearing for their safety in the wilderness, pleaded with the angels for an alternative destination. The wilderness was vast and unforgiving, and Lot's concern for his family's well-being was palpable. He sought a place where they could find shelter and protection from the elements. He begged for permission to seek refuge in Zoar, a nearby city that he believed would offer better protection. Zoar, though small, seemed like a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. Lot's plea was heartfelt, and the angels listened to his request with compassion. The angels, demonstrating compassion for Lot's plight, relented and allowed him to flee to Zoar with his family. Their decision was a testament to the mercy that still existed amidst the judgment. Lot and his family felt a glimmer of hope as they were granted permission to head towards Zoar. They emphasized that God, in his mercy, had spared Zoar from the destruction destined for Sodom and Gomorrah. The city of Zoar stood untouched, a sanctuary amidst the devastation. It was a place where Lot and his family could start anew, away from the sins and destruction of Sodom. The family's escape from Sodom marked a pivotal moment in their lives, a harrowing experience that would forever shape their destinies. The flames of Sodom's destruction were a constant reminder of the life they had left behind. Their journey was not just a physical escape, but a spiritual one as well. They left behind the city of their residence, their lives intertwined with the sins of its inhabitants. The memories of Sodom, both good and bad, would haunt them for years to come. The city's destruction was a stark reminder of the consequences of sin and the importance of obedience to divine commands. As they journeyed towards Zoar, the weight of their experiences, both in Sodom and during their escape, cast a long shadow over their future. The path to Zoar was arduous, but it was also a path to redemption and new beginnings. Each step they took was a step away from their past and towards a hopeful future. To be continued in Part 2. The story of Lot and his family is far from over. Their journey to Zoar is just the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, filled with challenges and opportunities for growth.